don't think we should talk about this.
Come on, why not?
People might misunderstand what we're trying to say, you know?
No, but that's a part of life.
Welcome to the Lit Within Performance podcast. Today we're going to be talking about people at the top of their game. They've got extremely busy lifestyles. How do they manage that lifestyle effectively, maintain their high level of performance without burning out? Michael, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm super well, thanks, Lewis.
Today we just want to cover the big question, which is within high-level business, so your chief execs and your management team, and the crossover obviously within sport, you know, Formula One especially. There's a lot of talk in there about the marginal gains. I think that at the moment the model is get the exact right amount of sleep. I think that's a podcast that we've just covered. It's kind of increase your mental energy, it's get your physical fitness up, and it's also looking at every single opportunity within that, you know, physically, psychologically, your communication with everyone, and just try and optimise that, really, isn't it? So what do you see within that we might be able to help listeners with in terms of, one, avoiding burnout? Let's start with burnout because it's a big topic for people.
Yeah, I think essentially it's kind of recognising when you are reaching that fatigue point or you are overdoing it. Everyone can kind of sprint for a little while in terms of being kind of super active, long days, and intensity of activity during the day. And you might have good effectiveness. I certainly had that for a long period of time. And then recognising when actually, you know, it's time for a holiday or it's time to have a full weekend off. And recharge, because quite often, you know, as I was back in the day, when you're that active at the weekend during the week, then your weekends tend to be pretty charged as well. I.e., you're active at the weekend because you want to fit it all in, because you're pretty much, you know, the hamster wheel is a good metaphor for it. You know, you've got your inbuilt inertia that's driving you forward. You've got that momentum. So you're hardly likely, if you're running around during the week, to actually put your feet up at the weekend. You're more likely to be engaged in some high adrenaline kind of sports, or at least be busy. That might be just simply playing golf, then going to visit your parents, then going out with the wife for a meal or whatever. But your diary's as full as it is during the week, you know. So I think the way to kind of avoid that or manage that effectively for you and whatever that looks like is really to be really in tune with your own kind of wellness and requirements of your body in terms of what you need for rest and recovery, and how much is left in the tank, as it were, to be able to keep going before you actually, you know, it does become a problem with you either picking up some sort of illness or simply just not functioning optimally because you're not clear. And I think we've all had that in business where you're a bit cloudy in terms of your thoughts. Nothing's coming to you about what you should do next, or people are certainly looking to you for, you know, saying something like, Lewis, what's your thoughts on that? And you just got nothing to contribute, you know, I'm not sure. And the well of fresh ideas or thinking can dry up. And I know that there's plenty of people advocating sort of meditation is a good route, you know, to get that quiet time in, and making it another to-do, essentially, that you block out 20 minutes or whatever it is, and go in the soft furnishings room in the office or whatever you got hooked up there. To sort of, or go for a walk, whatever it is, you know, it doesn't matter, but physically take that time out. But to be honest, that's just all added into the to-do list. You know, it's recognising that when we have got our self-awareness on point and we understand that the meditative state that we all seek is one that naturally occurs when we do zone out momentarily, or switch off for a moment. You know, it is kind of refilling the well, as it were. And you can carry on.
It's like you can be overwhelmed doing anything, can't you? You can feel overwhelmed. It can appear that you're being overwhelmed even when you're sat on a beach on a holiday, or you're on a retreat, or you're trying to get in a state of meditation. And like you said, it doesn't matter what you add to that list. If that feeling and state is the same, you know, where you're rushing from meeting to meeting, or you're flying to Asia and then you're back to the UK, flying out to the States non-stop, you're jet lagged, whatever it is, when you come back and even spend time with your family, the state can just be exactly the same as it was. So like you said, you're just adding another to do to your list, yet the quality of experience is not there, is it?
No, it isn't, and I think that's the whole point. That it's not until, linking up with the sleep conversation. It's not until you've enjoyed a really good night's sleep, but how refreshed you do feel in the morning. Regardless of how busy you've been. And so I think this whole thing, it points to the fact of that variability in people's kind of thought activity, what's going on, what's preoccupying them, what's concerning them, etc. That actually takes an enormous amount of energy to keep that running the whole time and being focused from the whole time. And there's nothing wrong with being what you'd call in a sort of highly motivated state that in the office that could last for 6 months, a year, 2 years. People when they're on mission, they're really clear and loving the work. That can go on for a long time without you noticing anything, and then things may or may not creep up, and it's more just sort of recognising that, and when you get your downtime, knowing that you don't have to make that a to-do either. That there's not relaxation methods. You can have that anywhere, and the more you are to be able to pick up on that and utilise that throughout the day, then the more energy you're going to bring to the rest of your time.
Yeah, definitely. Something springs to mind on that is, obviously, I had a break we had the Christmas period, New Year period. I had a little break from what we're doing from work, from coaching and consulting, and I went to my mum and dad's house, and my niece was there, and she loves just doing like dance moves, which are put on TikTok. And anyone who doesn't know what TikTok, it's like the Instagram for the younger generation, if you like, for the kids, and it's got a completely different feel to it. I think it's growing and growing. I think it's only going to get bigger. But I ended up doing a dance routine with her. It was just like a minute thing, so you had to go upstairs and learn it, and I really enjoyed it. It was just a bit of fun, and that was like rest for me. That was like going up a mountain and meditating and being in that state for some people, or going on a retreat, paying 20 grand to go to a health retreat, 30 grand, whatever it is. So in that half an hour or whatever it took, that was like that for me. And I remember I came back downstairs and my sister said to me, "Oh, thanks for doing that. She really loved that." And I said, "Well, it wasn't work for me, I didn't say that, but it was along them lines, because it wasn't. I really enjoyed it, as well. We both got on well with it. It was just a bit of fun. So that to me, that was like the state I was in then was completely restful. It was light, it was fun, it was enjoyable. And I think that's what people are looking for. And it goes to show, you could be doing a video on social media, or you can be in the Bahamas in a luxury resort, or at a health retreat place, or having Christmas dinner, whatever it is. If that state is there, then you're good,
Well, plenty of people will be looking forward to get back to work, after the Christmas break. If you've been doing entertaining people round or going places, they can see that as a source of, of work, essentially. That it's, I can't wait to get back to work for a rest, There's how many times have we heard that sort of phrase? So, it's fascinating, really, when you are on holiday and you've got that opportunity, how for people, without the distraction of work, you've got that kind of unconscious thinking or other distractions.
It's like an undercurrent, isn't it? It's like an undercurrent that's there for people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the kind of thing that people, being aware of that or noticing that, is where, true relaxation comes from. And although there's nothing wrong with enjoying a nice environment, or walking in the mountains, over a field, in the forest, whatever it is, they're all good activities for us, obviously, to be involved in. But if we think that's the solution to having a restful state, there's no end to it, really, in trying to perfect that.
Yeah, it reminds me of when people say, if you're going on a business trip, some people in their minds can convert that to a holiday. Where they go in, I'm off to the States for 4 days. Oh, where are you going? Oh, it's to New York. In their mind, they're like, oh, he's on a jolly. But the person doing it can go, oh, I'm going to be jet lagged. I'm going to be tired. It might be the west coast of America. oh, I'm gonna be tired. I could do without this. I'd rather just be at home. Can't we just do this over Skype or Zoom, on a Zoom call or whatever? So really, you know, that undercurrent can be completely different, but it's the same trip they're both thinking about. It's just fascinating to see that difference.
It is fascinating because it reminds me of I went through quite a long phase where I was going on holiday and regularly working when I was on holiday, and sometimes, you know, just doing a quick call to sort out a project or something that was going on while I was walking from a hotel to a restaurant, you know, down in the harbour or something, and I'd be chatting away to one of the guys in the office. It kind of oblivious to my wife sort of walking around looking at the scenery. So thankfully she was very forgiving of my behaviour at the time. But I know that for me it wasn't an issue because my brain on doing that, making that call or getting involved in that, my mental activity lasted as long as the call. You know, I might have literally had 30 seconds before I made it to think about, oh yeah, I've got to do that because, and at the end of it, you might have spent another minute thinking about what you said or what you need to do next. But then, like the light switch, thankfully I was able to switch it on and off. So for other people who might find that annoying or, well, you always seem to be working, if you're only working while you're actually on that call or doing that task, then you can get quite a lot done in a short space of time, and it not impact the rest of your time, because it literally has been 2 minutes out of your 24-hour long day. It's not been turned into a 3-hour, 4-hour thing just because you made a phone call.
Yeah, I think with couples, that dynamic, when you have somebody who's working long hours and they're coming home, it can be problematic for people. Like you said, you go away on a break and you're still taking calls. You can have people that, first and foremost, they pick up the call from the office, and like you said, they won't have that cut off after a minute, and it carries on for 2 hours where they're thinking about a problem. They're like, oh, I need to get back, and their mind is just drifting onto the topic of work, and then their partner is giving them stick for saying, oh, we're on holiday, why are they ringing you?
Exactly.
And then it turns into an argument for 2 to 3 hours, and you're like, wow, you just wasted 2 or 3 hours of your holiday, whereas if it was a problem, it lasted for 1 minute and it's gone. 3 minutes, it's gone.
I know. It's funny because it reminds me, on the other hand, of that you never know what your partner's thinking or what they're doing or what's going on, why they're doing it, but you can make up all these stories about that. And it happened to us on Christmas Eve. I was more attentive to my phone than maybe I should have been, according to my wife's viewpoint. And she didn't comment, but I knew she'd noticed. You know, as that when you know someone well enough,
she gave you that look.
You know that look, you know that body language, you know that little move that's telling you there's a displeasure. And you see it on David Attenborough, don't you, all the time? He knows the animals what's going on well enough. He's saying, oh yes, and the female now. He's showing his displeasure. And so she was doing a bit of that, and but she only twigged what I was up to when on Christmas Day I went upstairs, and she knew again I was on the phone or something. She's trying to figure out who I'm talking to or what I'm doing. She just can't get her head around it. Christmas Day, you know. Anyway, I've walked downstairs with someone on a FaceTime video, and it was Olivia's cousin who's in the States. And I was messaging him, and because of different time zones and what was going on, I'd been on the ball with him and sorting it out so that he could join on his Christmas Day to have a quick chat with our daughter. And then she realised this once I finished the call, and when all that settled down and the daughter's excitement dropped off because she was buzzing about having a chat with him and seeing him on FaceTime. And she said, oh, that's what you were doing last night then, when you were sorting out that. I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then it clicked.
And then it was all okay. My activity was okay then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny.
So it is funny because you've got the use of the phone versus what is it the use for, and that we're judging whether that's good or bad or acceptable or unacceptable. It's not about the phone, and I think that can of worms of the whole social media or people spending their life in their phones and managing that in a relationship is a sticking point for a lot of people, or indeed with kids as well. Older kids who've got their own phones. How do parents manage that? Because I think it seems to be, from what we read in the press and come across, a lot more of a problem than it is for us with young children at the moment.
Yeah, I think that goes to show with my niece that a lot of people will be like, oh, it's New Year's, you're with the family, why are you off doing social media videos? You know, she's, you're always doing those videos. Give it a rest. Well, I was like, yeah, come on, let's do a video. It'll be fun. You know, and you can see it matters to them, and I enjoyed it. So you can just see how that could be a real annoyance for some people. Yeah. They'd be like, just put the phone down. You hear it all, just put the phone down. And I was like, no, this is something she really enjoyed. You can see her light up when she talks about it. Mm. So you want to go and join in and do what they enjoy doing, you know, without overly trying to appease them, because I was just doing it up because I wanted to do it as well. It was a bit of fun. So yeah, definitely when it comes to mobile phones, it comes to work, what is on that screen really doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't. And how much time you spend, you know. I know that for January, all the New Year's resolutions, certainly around diet, are paramount. But the new one that's crept in is obviously the social media detox. You know, people saying that, I've actually seen that a lot. You know, I've deleted Facebook as an app, or I've done this. Or
I've got sent this message.
One
of my friends sent it to me. We've got a group. It's a business group. A few of us, which have been friends for quite a long time, have got a business group where we just talk about various things on there. A bit of a networking group, and one of them sent me a screenshot of exactly that. He said the guy said he's been off social media. Funnily enough, the post was on LinkedIn, so he wasn't completely off it. Mm. But he said he'd been off Instagram and Facebook, and it had made such a difference to him. Felt empowered, and the rest of it. And my friend was thinking about doing the same thing. So I said, you know, exactly what you're coming to there. I said, well, you know, do what you like. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's completely your thing. It might be perfect for you to stop on social media, but you know, at the end of the day, social media is a tool, and that's all it will ever be.
Yeah, and I think the generations, everyone's got, you know, the kids have pretty much always done the same thing. And I know when I was young, it was the things that, you know, my mum would get put out about was often just watching too much TV, you know, which is no different to the mobile phone on the wall. That
was the old problem, TV.
Yeah, because you're watching cartoons or, you know, films or whatever it is, and then as you're older, you might be just sitting watching sport. And I know, I know,
Netflix.
Well, it's amazing, and I know on holiday that again culturally how this is different. We're in Portugal, and we're in a bar in the harbour, and it's quite strange because I spent all day in a pub that had big all the sports screens on.
Is it like a British pub?
Comfy seats. No, it was well, it was British in terms of clientele. It was pretty much full British, but the locals were Portuguese that were working in there. And I remember that it was when the Ashes was on. So I had a couple of days where as the Ashes was coming to a climax, I was wanting to be kind of seeing what was going on. And I spent, on the last day of the Ashes, I was literally in there from like 8 till 7 or whatever it was. I had my breakfast, my lunch and dinner. I didn't leave the bar because it was thrilling. Yeah. The sport was brilliant. I had pole position at one of the screens. And I was in there the whole day. And my wife was happy because she was getting loads of, you know, sun tanning in and a good Jilly Cooper novel or whatever it was back in the day, and so it worked perfectly. But I remember when it all finished, it was actually a draw. The Ashes was it was a draw, and the Portuguese barmaid was like, "Oh, is it finished now?" Because she couldn't believe, how can a sporting event go on for 5 days? How can I sit there for all this amount of time? And then when I told her it was a draw, it was even more mind blowing. You know, you can't play a game for 5 days and not have a winner. What's the point of this game? And so I think all this time spent doing something, whatever it is, it's kind of the more that people can allow other people to do what they choose to do, that it's not impacting you negatively or whatever. Because it's not like you're fanatical about it, but I think this can happen all the times, you know. And it's a classic, whether you're a footballer, a manager, or whatever, and you've got the game that you're playing and you're training, and then you're keeping an eye on what the competition's doing. It's no different in business, where you've got business journals or other things to catch up on. Your own training and development, personal development, you know, all these things are happening as well as on top of the working day. They're not conducted within the working day, so you can kind of always be active doing it. So it's not so much what you're looking at that's the problem, or the activity itself, but just people not allowing others to do what they want to do.
Yeah, that has a big impact on feeling overwhelmed and burnout, I think, because you can build up a lot of frustration and stress over what I should be, where I should be at, that I'm not, or somebody should be doing this and not doing that. And then you can start blaming social media, you can start blaming the other person and their lack of attentiveness to you.
Yeah, exactly, and that would be, you know, that's the classic. When I think about that as a model now of a recharge of how we used to be as a couple, you know, that my wife's recharge would be with a good book, headphones in, on the sun lounger all day. That's pretty much her idea of recharge. And my equivalent of that was then I'd make sure that I'd playing golf in the morning. Coming back, maybe there'll be a little bit of sport on the maybe a Formula One be on the TV, or you'd have something going on, MotoGP or something like that you might watch in the afternoon for a couple of hours, a bit of lounging time, and you're good to go. You know, you don't feel that you've been working. You feel recharged when you've come back as well. You know, so it's showing that there's all these, you know, different ways that, or activities or things you can or not do in order to recharge. You've not got to look for a specific kind of silver bullet, as it were, to that's going to do it for you. Just like you were saying there with your little dancing escapades. You know, it's just good. It's just good to be. If you're having fun and you're relaxed, then you're recharging.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to hear from different individuals within sport and chief execs that go into work and it feels like a relief and a release to be there, because at home they're 100 miles per hour when they're at home psychologically.
So I think if you're listening, you know, people that might be listening to this podcast now, made it this far in, are kind of curious what we're talking about, or wondering when we're going to get to the 3 steps or whatever it is that you have to do. It can be a bit strange to say, look, we're saying that there's nothing really you need to do other than be in tune with what your requirements are, or what it is that's gonna actually be something that you want to do, knowing that it's not a special thing that you have to find out. It's not a discovery of working out what is relaxing for you or what it is that recharges you. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It's just to be aligned with what is happening innately within you.
Yeah.
And and it is strange, because again, I can imagine people scratching their heads thinking, well, you haven't really said anything, you know, where's the instructions?
There is none
to this, or how did you work out to do that?
Yeah.
That you got this kind of way of being on holiday. How did you come to that? Or we're not saying either that that's the model that you should do for a successful.
Because there's not one instruction.
Whatever.
It's similar to what we spoke about on a previous podcast. There's not one instruction. There's not one strategy that is gonna bring about that ease and comfort in your own skin, and being able to relax and enjoy yourself regardless of what you're doing. Washing up, flying all over the world to work, on a holiday, on a break, is just getting to understand how HX works, how human experience works, and how that innately we settle as human beings naturally, you know. And it sounds too simple, it sounds too good to be true. It goes against a lot of gurus out there, a lot of well-being and health advice out there, but you can't get away from it. It's the truth, you know. It's how it works. So that's
Lovely.
it.
We're done.
I don't think we should talk about this.
Come on, why not?
People might misunderstand what we're trying to say, you know?
No, but that's a part of life.